Hey Thomas, how are you today?
Jonathan, I'm doing great, and I hope you're doing well. You know, let
Uh,
let's talk about, the deportation of what's happening. There's a lot of talk, Trump's plan once he gets into office, using the military, and also, about mayors. They're gonna, a guy in Colorado, he's gonna do a Tenement Square. He said he's gonna get cops and 50,000 people out there to stop the military from doing what they got to do. And up in Boston, you have that Chinese mayor up there who's being a jackass. Anyway, I want to get your thoughts since you have the articles there. So I want you to start this conversation,
yeah.
and then I'll give you my thoughts on it. Go ahead, sir.
So there's been um, a lot of discussion over the last few years actually, and it just heated up the last few months with the election with Trump coming in now, and a lot of it is, as Americans, I think it's across the states, but I'll just speak for New York, that you're seeing illegal immigrants all over the place, and it's disrupting commerce, it's disrupting safety. It's causing a big issue across the board. So we definitely need something changed. This was an article about Trump and how he was going to get that Venezuelan gang out of the country. There's a lot of articles out there you can read. He talks about how he needs Venezuela's support as a country to help them remove this issue in our own country. So we'll see how that pans out. I know there's a lot of controversy on certain city mayors and governors in states that are not going to support it. They're not going to help. I think it's crazy that you wouldn't want to help your local city, country, state, whatever it may be. I think as a country, we all need to come in and help remove these issues. If people want to come to our country, it's got to be the right way. It's got to be legally. I know a lot of the people are saying that they're coming for asylum from their own country.
Mhm.
Um, that's I don't really know how truthful that may be. I know there's a lot of issues throughout the world. Um,
Mhm.
what wars are happening in South America that they're fleeing from, or is it just their political corruption within their own government? Probably. I know there's a lot of cartels throughout the, Central and South America, and they might be escaping that. So there are
Mhm.
issues inherently in all these countries, but we have our own issues too. So we can't continue to just pay for everyone and think that it's not going to hurt our country. It's hurting our country. It's been doing that for years, and there is right now has got to be the time that we start fixing ourselves.
Yeah. Let's talk about the obvious, all right? The obvious is this. We've been flooded since the Biden administration took over in January 21, and overly flooded. Back in the day, if you wanted to come to this country, asylum was one thing, but everybody's crying asylum, and that's a bunch of bullshit, and that's what it comes
Yep.
down to. My mom immigrated in this country. She had to have a sponsor. My mother came from Ireland. She had to have a sponsor. Her aunt sponsored her. You had to put down the address you were going to. They actually interviewed that person. My mom came over here on a boat in 1956, and actually, she had a report, and within like a 5, 6 year period, she became a citizen. Now, you mentioned the cartels, all right? So, you do have those cartels. But there's one thing Americans don't really realize. We have our own cartels in this country, okay? It's called NGOs, non governmental organizations. And these non governmental organizations are funded by U.S. taxpayers' dollars, but we, the taxpayers, aren't told what these NGOs do. And a lot of these NGOs are actually behind the scenes making all this shit happen by bringing all these illegals in. Catholic Charities has reaped millions, tens of millions, probably a couple of 100 million over this invasion that we had. Okay, and I'm going to tell you a true story. What happened back in 2017? My dad was, not doing well, and my mom needed someone to actually, take him to the hospital, to the doctor's office. So she called up Catholic Charities, and my parents gave a lot of their time, years and years of their time, to the Catholic Church and organizations. And the woman said, "Oh, listen, we don't have the time to help out our parishioners, and because our resources go to the immigrant, the Spanish people." My mother was in tears. She's like, "You don't even take care of your older people now. who took care of the church and built your schools and your parishes in the 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s. Now I need someone to help us, and you turn your back on it. That's a true story, okay? So, it's like you're getting pissed on by now, your religious organization, forget about your country, all right? So again, it's all this money that's being given out through the government. All these hotels these people are getting, they're getting spending money like $18,000 debit cards. In New York City, they're getting welfare, they're getting Medicaid. That's bullshit because we're not even taking care of our own people. So the thing is this: I don't care if the left's all up in arms about it. We need to take care of our own country, our own infrastructure, and build it from within. I believe immigrants should come here, but they should come here legally.
Yep.
And crying asylum, like AOC says, AOC can go F herself. And that's really the bottom line because she has no clue, okay? She's only pumping out a bunch of propaganda that's fed to her. Like when she got into office, oh, we got to have climate change because the cows farting in the air are hurting the climate. She's just fed a bunch of bullshit. So the thing is this: Trump's got a plan to come in. And if, mayors want to step in Colorado and create a tenement square, you know what? I'm going through you, and I'm going to go through you, and we're going to get rid of these criminals. That's who we want to get rid of. Not the good people, but we want to get rid of the criminals. And there's a lot of them. Jonathan, now that I came off a 20-minute tangent, go ahead.
So I mean, there's a I understand, trouble. A lot of these Hispanics come from Central South America. Their country doesn't provide them a lot of opportunity. They're looking for a better life for themselves, for their children. We all want that for ourselves too. Um, but the problem that we have is that you see it all the time on the news. There are children coming across without parents. They don't know where their parents are. They're holding notes. These are my parents or whatever, and they have to call this number when they get over the border. There are just so many things that we don't know. We don't know, the criminal history of a lot of these people, and then to make things worse, sometimes we do, and we still let them in. So if we're
Mm-hmm.
trying to make our country better, we have laws, right? There should be ways to bring in people the right way, and they should come in the right way. Like you said, your family, my family did too. We came from Italy the right way. It took time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I know a lot of good, hardworking immigrants that it took them. They had to, take courses to get their citizenship the right way. So I just believe that this needs to be something that we keep track of, and as a country, we should want that for ourselves.
Without a doubt. And, people want to have a better life coming to this country. We have a thing called the United Nations, which is another bullshit organization. But you know what? With the birth of the internet and everything else, we need to help countries take their gross national product and be able to move it. There's way too much corruption in a lot of these countries, okay?
Yeah.
And the United States supports a lot of these countries with giving them taxpayer dollars from the U.S. You know what? We need to make these people accountable for building their infrastructure, and that's what they need to do to help out their own people. We can't be the savior of everybody, and that has to stop.
Yep.
Right. I do believe we do need growth in this country. Our pregnancies are down tremendously. We have to be more pro family, but the powers to be don't want that. They want more pro gayness. They're not promoting families. And we need to start promoting families. So we need to start giving people, we have to encourage them to have children. Maybe we have to give basically better tax breaks, tremendous like tax free money. Say, hey, listen, if you have one kid, that's one thing. And you have to be the same mom and dad. You can't be like banging them out like you're in the ghetto with like 10 different dads and, 15 different kids. That shit ain't going to work either. We need a family structure, and we need to create a structure of goodness and with a vision in this country to move forward. And that's what we need to do. Your thoughts on that, Jonathan?
We always want, better communities, better family ties, so I agree. We need more wholesome, um, parts of America, and that starts with the people. Having that, things have changed. A lot of people don't get married now. A lot of people don't have kids. A lot of people like to live that single life as long as they can, and then they might settle down a little bit later in life. So things are very different than probably 30, 40, 50 years ago. Um, but
Things are a lot different over the last 30 years.
yeah, so I would just say, I mean, this is a topic we should continue to talk about, the deportation of illegal immigrants, how that works, how that affects them, us, the government, and we should just, we and you should all just be very alert with what's going on around you.
100%, 100%. And people have to keep that in mind. Hey, listen, I don't want any violence by the military. And hey, listen, you look what happened up in New York City not long ago when a bunch of immigrants had fights with cops in Times Square. They got arrested. It was catch and release. Those guys should be kicked out of the country right away. They shouldn't be here disrespecting law enforcement like that. Meanwhile, law enforcement's are the one that have egg on their face being the bad guy when they were trying to step up for justice. So go figure. Well, listen, you want to add any closing comments, Jonathan?
It's all, I understand the principles that certain people may have on the subject. I always figure like it's never a problem till it's around you, right? So people don't mind having illegal immigrants around the country until you start
Hmm.
having problems around your area where you live, where you shop, where go to sleep. Then things
Hmm.
become real. So I think we all just need to wake up and remember that, if it's happening somewhere, it could happen to me any day of the week. So
Hmm.
having, a bunch of illegal immigrants causing chaos, like where was that in Colorado when they were like storming that apartment building, the Venezuelan
Yes.
gang. So it doesn't matter until it matters, and that's kind of what we can't afford to risk. We have to treat all of us citizens as one, and if it's happening to someone across the neighborhood or in a different state, it could just as easily happen to me around the corner from my house. So
100%. 100%.